Yeah, we're ready.
All right.
You feel alone out there?
Just probably enjoying the quiet.
A little bit, yeah. It's been a rowdy couple of weeks.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and call the PCOE PUSD Special Joint Board meeting to order. We'll start with the flag salute, and I will lead us. The flag is right there. Put your hand over your heart. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, Barb, go ahead with our roll call, please.
Johnson,
Present.
Klein, Harrison,
Here.
Craig.
Here.
All right, so I will entertain a motion to approve the PCOE PUSD agenda. However, I would ask that that motion be amended to consider public comment with each one of our items, Andrea, is that what we said? So if at any time the public wants to comment, we'll open that up.
On each item?
Mhm.
Okay, I was gonna ask for just one open public session, so that's good. So I make a motion to approve the agenda, adding public comment per section.
I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, we will move into, actually, do you want to address the board on any closed session
Oh,
items?
no.
You're the only one in
I
here,
know,
so
but
I'm
I'm
asking you
fine
specifically.
on
All right.
closed session, yeah.
Okay, so we're going to go into closed session. Yeah,
Thank you for asking.
you're welcome.
Hey, thanks.
Oh, here we go.
All right, we're gonna get started. So I'm gonna ask for public comment at the beginning of each number. We did amend the agenda at the beginning of this meeting, but we weren't in the room when that happened, so just so you know, when we get to, right now, for example, there's nothing specific to report out of closed session. So we'll go right into number 10, letter A, personnel items, and I'll ask for public comment. And the first one in that section that I have is Shannon Phillips. Shannon, would you come up, please? Shannon.
What?
It's your turn. Public comment.
Sorry.
That's okay. Agenda item number 10.
Thanks.
Hello again.
Hello.
My name is Shannon Phillips. I come to you as a teacher at Greenville Elementary School, a community member, and a parent. I urge you not to approve the staff reductions outlined in tonight's agenda. The process the district followed is in executing these layoffs was flawed, inconsistent with its own policies, and it failed to comply with both the collective bargaining agreement and ed code. The district failed to properly follow its own tie-breaking procedure. The collective bargaining agreement clearly outlines 3 equally weighted criteria for determining seniority among staff with the same hire date. However, the district applied only 2 of the 3, skipping the first entirely because it was deemed too difficult. When employees had identical scores under these 2 criteria, the district failed to conduct the required lottery to resolve the tie. This is not a technicality. It is a violation of both the CBA and a resolution passed by this very board. As a result, staff were laid off based on an incomplete and incorrect application of procedure. Second, the district's explanation for who was laid off and who was retained reveals clear evidence of skipping. Yet it denies doing so. The law permits skipping only under strict conditions. When a less senior employee has demonstrable training and experience that more senior employees lack, and when there is a specific curricular need, yet 5 less senior teachers were retained, some as many as 6 spots lower on the seniority list, without the district providing any documentation or evidence of the special qualifications justifying these decisions. This directly contradicts the resolution's own criteria and ed code. Lastly, the resolution itself is flawed. It lists teacher as the position being reduced, which is not a recognized particular kind of service under the law, without clearly defining the type of service to be reduced, such as elementary classroom teaching. The resolution cannot be used as a legal basis for layoff decisions. If the board wants to reduce elementary positions due to declining enrollment, it must do so through a properly constructed and lawful resolution. So in short, the process was rushed, it was flawed, rules weren't followed, and people lost their jobs unfairly as a result. This board has the responsibility to ensure transparency, fairness, and strict compliance with policy.
30 seconds.
Especially when people's livelihoods are at stake. So I'm asking you, please do not vote to approve these layoffs tonight. The vote should be no, and you need to demand that the district correct its errors and follow the rules that it committed to. Thank you.
Lauren, whose last name I'm gonna get totally wrong. Please come up.
Hello. My name is Lauren McIntyre. I'm currently a teacher at Greenville Elementary School. I'd like you to consider the legality of the district layoff process before taking action on the final layoff resolutions for certificated and classified staff. The layoff process conducted by the district not only failed to meet legal standards, it was found unlawful by an administrative law judge due to multiple well-documented violations of state education code. Plymouth Unified School District's layoff process was ruled unlawful under Education Code 44955 based on several legal violations. First, the district's resolution failed to identify a valid particular kind of service, naming only the generic term teacher, which does not meet legal standards. Second, it retained 5 less senior employees without proving the legally required need or unique qualifications to justify skipping. Third, the district used an incorrect seniority date for some teachers and failed to apply its adopted tie-breaking criteria or conduct the required lottery. These procedural errors led the judge to conclude the layoffs were not legally authorized and must be rescinded. The proposed ruling makes one thing clear. Even in times of financial stress, school districts must follow the law, and the district did not. The judge's findings confirm that the layoff process violated Education Code 44955 by failing to specify legally defined services, misapplying seniority rules, and ignoring required procedures. Continuing to act on these unlawful layoffs would only deepen mistrust, risk further legal consequences, and jeopardize the quality of education for our students. The responsible course of action now is for the board to disregard the layoff notices that were improperly issued. Doing so will have minimal impact on the district's overall projected debt, but it will have a major positive impact on classrooms and student learning during this next transitional year. At the same time, the board should allow the state to lead the long-term restructuring process, ensuring that any future changes are both fiscally sound and legally compliant. This is not just about reversing a mistake.
30 seconds.
It's about restoring public trust, supporting educators, and putting students first. Thank you.
Good evening. I am not scripted tonight. I'm just gonna lay this out because those two are hard to follow. They spoke eloquently. As president of the Plymouth County Teachers Association, I want to encourage the board to disapprove the layoffs tonight. The two members who are listed on your HR agenda are deeply impacted by the decision that was made by the courts, although they were not respondents in the case. However, their qualifications are very similar, if not identical, to their situation. Please disapprove these layoffs. Should that not happen, the union is committed to grievancing this through our contract violation, and we just wanted to give you a heads up about that. Thank you.
All right, we can take these. Is there any other public comment? I'm sorry, I don't have any more comment cards. Would anybody else like to make comment? All right, I will move forward and entertain a motion for resolution 242518, reduction of classified staff for 25-26.
I make a motion to approve, sorry.
I could.
I don't, sorry, here we go. So, I make a motion to approve resolution 2425-18 for reduction of classified staff of 25-26.
Are you gonna second that, Cindy?
No. I don't approve.
So there's not a second.
So just a technical question, as the president, may I second or not? I don't know the answer to that.
I don't know either.
For the Plymouth County Office of Ed, that's just my,
Information.
that's information, so that one is.
For this first one?
Yes, you need to go on that other two.
Yeah, because that's a PCOE one.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I can second. And now we take a vote, right? A roll call?
Harrison.
Yay.
Susan, I have a question. Now, we just heard from three teachers, two teachers, and the president of one of the unions, I believe, giving the actual fact of how this is illegal, and that if you go ahead and approve this, there might be litigation, which is gonna waste more time and more money. So if we're gonna go ahead and approve it, can we maybe have a little discussion as to why we are completely omitting this advice and just going with what we wanna do as opposed to what the law says we're supposed to do?
So this is for PCOE, just a clarification.
So this is the approval for the PCOE reduction.
It's different than what we're talking
Yeah, we
about.
had a.
Yeah, stand corrected. Sorry, thank you.
Reduction of the classified, right?
This is for PCOE.
Harrison.
This is for the district office
Go ahead.
Yay.
on the county side. District office on the county
Aye.
side.
I'll approve that one.
Karen.
Aye.
Resolution 242518, reduction of classified staff for 25-26 passes. All right, now I will ask for a motion for PUSD Resolution 1618, resolution for certified staff for 25-26.
1681, so.
1681, I apologize, thank you, Jan.
So I actually have questions on this one. So
I have questions on this one, so I understand what was recorded, but there has been no content and for me to even see to understand what you're referring. So that's why I wanted to, I'm at the point where I don't have enough information to be able to make a resolution. I appreciate that, and so at this point, that is why I will not be motioning to approve, because I don't have enough information off of what was presented.
Cindy, do you want to add anything?
I'm not going to approve that reduction of the certified staff for PUSD.
All right, we can make no action on PUSD Resolution 1681, reduction for certified staff 25-26. And for PUSD Resolution 1682, reduction for classified staff for 25-26.
same statement for me. Is that something that you can send? Sorry.
I actually did send that to you, Chelsea.
Oh,
When I emailed you a few days ago, I attached the administrative law judge's decision.
I don't remember seeing something from you, so that's why I apologize.
Okay, yeah, it probably came
I
from
received
Luna
it.
CTA president at Gmail.
Okay.
Give me a second.
Say it again.
I couldn't understand.
That's what I'm wondering too, because it came from a Gmail account.
It did, yes.
Okay, I'm gonna check spam then, because I don't do that very often. Nope,
Business, I always use my other one.
my fault. I should be better at checking that.
And it should have been an attachment to the agenda that was posted last Friday.
I didn't see it.
It was attached to
So, wait.
So I have a question as well. So with us not approving, knowing that there are state laws, what is the repercussions on this side associated with not approving today?
The ALJ
Give him
ruling. The ALJ ruling did not, first of all, apply to classified employees. It applied to the two people that had hearings, and those layoffs are not on your list. So two individuals that did appeal, and the ALJ made a ruling specific to those two individuals.
Hold on, are we open for discussion?
Are we open for discussion?
Alicia, if you want to make a comment, a public comment, you're welcome to, but we're not engaging in question and answer.
Okay, so the comment that I would make is that the two people in question that are on the agenda tonight for termination through layoff,
For classified or certified?
they're certificated.
Thank you.
I only represent certificated
Thank you.
personnel.
Apologize.
No problem. So those two are also more senior on the seniority list that is erroneous, and which the layoffs are based on, than the 5 teachers below them. So even though they are not respondents directly in the actual case before the administrative law judge, they are impacted by the decision because their situation is almost similar or identical to what happened to the 2 that were overturned. And I'm happy to provide a copy of that decision for you.
I have a copy here. And the title is before the governing board of the Plymouth Unified School District, so I'm not sure how you guys didn't have access to that.
I know that's what I'm looking, so I.
No, I have.
access to this.
Oh.
Jim, did you answer Chelsea's question about the consequences for not approving this and what that does for our?
Well,
No, just what the decision
if it was grieved and reversed, we'd go through a process. And so, but the ALJ ruling was to 2 specific individuals. And so we can move forward with the layoff. There's procedures, grievance procedures, legal procedures, that if it was wrong, it could be reversed if the judges found it.
We can always do a contract grievance, we have binding arbitration in our contract.
Right. Yeah,
That
there's an
would
arbitration
possibly
process, an arbitration process that can decide it for us.
Okay, so there is a process, so should,
Because the state requires us to have a certain process, which is why we had to have a special meeting so that way we could follow. But then my understanding that I heard from public comment is that the original process wasn't even done correctly in the first place. And so that is what the grievance, and I apologize for not saying correct words, but that is what the grievance is right now. So I'm going back to the same question, is should we not approve today, what are the repercussions for that?
We will not receive layoff notices.
They will not receive layoff notices and the budget will be severely impacted.
okay,
Are we talking about the previous layoffs? Does that include the previous layoffs as well?
We're only
Just
talking
today.
about certificated,
Which is the teachers, correct?
no.
yes,
Yes, we're only talking
yes.
about certificated,
Right.
which is the teachers.
So that's my question. So if the judge found that the district was wrong in how we applied the layoff notices for 2 people, I read some of this, and I'm not a lawyer or anything, but he said if it applies to 2, it applies to all. If I think I quoted that correctly. So that tells me, even if they did not file a grievance or an appeal, the teachers, the judge made it pretty clear there was an error in the process and how they were laid off. And so I think us as board members need to not approve this at this time, because the judge made it very clear. If they were wrong, if the district was wrong on how they did the first layoffs, they weren't just wrong for one, they were wrong for all. And so, no reason we need to go into another lawsuit, I don't think.
Amen.
That's all.
I have a question, why, so, I wanna make sure I
do you
understand.
want to use public comment for that? That'd be great. Can you use public comment for that?
We're not gonna do question and answer,
Yeah.
but if you wanna make
If you
your
want to make a
comment, go ahead.
statement.
Okay, it seems as though, I mean, I remember being, I think this very room, hearing this same board say that there was a certain procedure that was gonna be followed and that layoffs were gonna happen based on seniority. And now it's been attempted to lay people off not according to seniority, am I correct? And now we have a judge ruling that confirms that. So like, what are we even talking, like, if you need to lay people off, fine, there's a simple set of rules that says you have to follow. Why are we not, I don't understand, I won't ask the question, I'm just gonna state that I don't understand why we're not following the procedures that are in place to do this. And the result is everybody's time is getting wasted.
You guys already voted on this and said no, so classified as
We voted no action.
You already roll
Right.
call
You said no action.
That is action taken.
Okay, did I get, do you have what you need for all 3, Barb?
Yeah, now you move on to classify.
No,
Yeah, we have to move on to classified.
Which,
I have a statement. So while I understand the position that the board is in with having to approve this, we've already discussed the legality of the layoffs and them not being valid, but we haven't discussed what a grievance is gonna look like and the fact that, yes, retaining these teachers because the district didn't follow their proper procedure is gonna cost the district money, but these grievances will also cost the district money because any grievance is going to be paid out of district pocket. And the district has been in standing long enough to know, and Mr. Frost has enough experience that there should not have been an issue with any of the pink slips handed out. He should have known that policy, he should have known our contract, he should have known the laws, and he should have known how to do this, and he should have known this was coming down the pipe, because we don't have a weak union. And we are here fighting for.
We're gonna move on.
We're here fighting
Right.
for.
So-
It's gonna cost the district either way, and I don't think that you should follow the law or disallow what the administrative judge said. Those pink slips were not done in a legal fashion. Not one of them, not 10 of them, none of them were legal.
Can I appreciate that one thing also? I'm sorry, just really quickly.
Say that again, Andrea, for me, please.
He said you guys have taken action.
Just need to take action on these.
Okay,
There's no
so,
action.
Right, no action
Can
on.
you restate that, because I don't think they heard that.
I vote no.
So there's been no action on 10-2, or 10A2. So that is, there's no action on that specific item. So now we are on 10, I'm saying it out loud, sorry.
PUSD Resolution 1682 for reduction of classified staff. That's what we're talking about right now. Okay.
And I can speak on that just really quickly about accountability for the district. I understand Ms. Leos said that in doing, in
I can't hear.
carrying out these layoffs, the district is going to suffer severely, but it's not really about the staff that's being laid off, but more the accountability of the district and correcting things that they made and being accountable for that. And so I don't want it to get flipped back over to staff being let go to save the district's budget. I would like, let's just keep it focused on accountability for the district office. Yes, a mistake was made, own it, and move on. That's all I just want to add.
All right, is there a motion for PUSD Resolution 1682, reduction of classified staff for 25-26?
I'm in that same position again because I feel,
I feel like there is still, that there's information that I didn't feel I had before as we were reviewing these pieces, and that I'm not comfortable with classified, except my understanding is there is some handful of classifieds that are a seasonal position, but we would also be put in a position to where if we do not approve some of the layoffs, then they are, they're offered employment already for next year.
Yes.
So I am torn at the moment for classified because there is a handful of classified on that list that are seasonal because of programs, not because of reduction for budget. And since the resolution includes all of them, I don't know how we can handle that. Can we pull out from the list? It's an all or nothing when it was offered that.
I don't have anything to say at the moment because I don't know what the solution is for that.
All the ones that are classified, I believe, are the ones that already have accepted them.
Can we
Yes,
hear
they
what
accept
the
this.
discussion
Here,
is?
and I can appreciate that.
They haven't had a hearing.
So I can appreciate what was said, which was that everyone who had received the layoffs had accepted them. Because actually, I believe some of them were retiring as well. So that some of them had accepted because they are not going to take their position again. But I can appreciate with not understanding all of the processes, and then there is a question about how we have handled our process, and not understanding enough for me to feel confident to say, we've done everything correctly, but I also do feel we still have a responsibility that some of the programs, some of the retirees, and how can we pull that out, because my understanding is our deadline is tomorrow. So we've already put this up to the wire, which is shame on us too, that, again, I'm stuck with the don't know how to move forward at this exact moment.
As far as the certificated, I agree that the ALJ disagreed with with the district's legal counsel. That's an ALJ ruling, and we live by that ALJ ruling today. We could contest that ruling. If we live with that ruling, that applies to certificated who are in the same classification. And with the classified staff, we have different classifications and different seniorities. in classified service. That has not been in question. There is no ALJ ruling that determines anything about classified staff. So those reductions, and again, like you say, some of them are seasonal and should happen every year. And some of those are people who have accepted the layoff for various reasons. So, so I would,
Is there
again,
anybody on that classified list, Jim, for that resolution 1682 that did not accept the layoff?
they did not apply for a hearing and they were all given the opportunity to have a hearing.
That's because a few of the classified workers are so disappointed. It's because a few of the classified workers from my district are so disappointed in how they were so quickly just dismissed from their jobs and then brought back on. And now they're like, now, so when's my next layoff? A few from my district are going to quit and move on to a different job, which means we are gonna lose some really good employees that really were beneficial to our
Well, if
children.
they're not on the layoff list, they're not.
No, they were on the layoff list and it was rescinded,
Right.
and now here's our new layoff list.
So could I speak for a moment?
You can have 3 minutes, yeah.
Thanks. Where this comes from.
It's all connected in my bag, sorry.
So I represent the classified. We requested 15 hearings from our members that are union members. 14 out of 15 of those, the district did not do things correctly yet again. The classification was wrong and various other things along the way. Cindy is absolutely correct. Many people through this process have given up on you guys. They're tired of the roller coaster. Beyond being considered for layoffs, all the kitchen managers, it was a stupid plan from the very beginning. Food service was never consulted. There was never a plan to have some central kitchen in which our students would be fed out from that. And so just a short time after those layoff notices were sent out, we were told in negotiations that those kitchen managers' layoffs would be rescinded. Tracy DeRue, who is the food service supervisor, put out an email to her staff saying that all the kitchen staff would have their jobs come the next year. And many people through that process are not going to stick with you. They are not going to continue that emotional roller coaster. They need something they can count on in life. And that's not this district right now. So, is my time up? It seems like you're going for the microphone.
Like 30, you have 30 seconds.
Oh, joy. Just like the certificated, the district did not do most of these layoffs correctly in a legal fashion. We don't have the same process that the certificated do, but we definitely have a discovery process, and many district funds were dedicated to your lawyers, as were, our CSEA lawyers involved in that. Many hours of many people's time has already been devoted to this. And like I said, 14 out of 15 of those classified staff have had their layoffs rescinded. You're absolutely correct in that some people were going to retire already. So you're going to have that. There are some retirements, et cetera, but anyway.
Thank you.
Thank you, I appreciate it, thank you. All right, so it's like an auctioneer now.
Just so remember. So, because this is what's in the resolution. And so, which is a retiree, these were 2 special programming, right? And then these were ones that we identified. Okay, so I just want to make sure. So what I'm
Looking at the actual resolution for classified. It shows a licensed vocational nurse, 2 healthcare aides, a cook manager, which I know is retiring, and 2 paraeducators. My understanding is that is the seasonal program that is re-identified every year once we find out how many students are in each class. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, so I cannot speak to the healthcare side of things, but my understanding is there is some new programs and decisions, or not decisions, but what is the word I'm looking for? So plan for our healthcare process, correct? Sorry, is that correct? I guess I didn't say that as a word, as a question. Okay. So I feel, and I can understand the frustration with layoffs and then them being rescinded, because the list was a lot larger for the rescissions than it is for what is on the actual layoff list. And so at this time, I can appreciate the process that did not get followed, but at this time I am going to, because of, and then if we need to revisit and unfortunately go through the arbitration, I am going to make a motion to approve the PUSD resolution 1682, reduction of classified staff for 25-26. Do you want to second that, Cindy?
Yep.
I'll second that. Roll call, please.
Harrison,
Yay.
Johnson,
Aye.
Prim.
No.
All right, we are going to move on to our fiscal section. Any public comment? I'm going to, is our auditor on? Is Heather available? Stephanie?
Yes, I believe Heather's here and is going to be able to discuss about the Measure B audit.
Great, go ahead.
Okay, I'll just jump right in. Do you guys have a copy, or is this something in front of you? Okay, again, my name is Heather Rubio, and this 22-23 audit of your bond, Measure B bond building fund, was the first year our firm conducted the audit for, there was a previous firm that did the previous audit. Again, this is for fiscal year ending June 30, 2023. And this is only of the Measure B bond building fund information in Fund 21. So that is your Fund 21 and your SACs, just to clarify. This is the financial and performance audit. You are required to have this audit. It should technically be done by March 31st of the fiscal year. So the due date officially was, it should have been March 2024, would have been the official due date of this report. You go into,
Could the sound be turned up? We can't hear.
So I think unfortunately it's only plugged into our OWL. It can't
Well,
get
maybe we
connected
could
to
put the
this.
microphone right up to it. I can hold
Possibly.
it.
Here, I'll hold.
Thank you.
Keep going.
so on page 2 is the auditor's opinion. And so the numbers, we're saying that through our audit, we did find some things that we can talk about as findings later at the end of the audit report, but the numbers that are essentially presented in this audit report here, we do agree with. We think that they substantially represent the position of your bond building fund at June 30, 2023. Again, you're required to get the audit. It's there are some financial procedures and performance procedures, and those performance procedures are really heavy expenditure testing, and I'll go into that a little further. I'm going to take you to page 4 of the report, and that's your balance sheet. At June 30, 2023, you had cash in Fund 21 of 1.5 million, and you had a large due from other funds. So you had $3 million that other funds, the general fund, had borrowed from Fund 21 that is due back to Fund 21 at June 30, 2023. You had some liabilities and some due to other funds, resulting in a fund balance of 4.3 million. Page 5, the revenues for bond, the main revenue is always going to be interest earned on that cash. And in addition to that, any proceeds of bonds, which you didn't have in this fiscal year. And then the expenses, which is the biggest piece of this performance audit, was 10.8 million. And essentially the big part of this audit is making sure that those funds were spent with allowable measures. So it has to be, well, the bond measure is a little vague, but it has to be something that supports that in addition to board approval. Okay. And then I will take you to kind of the audit procedures and results section on page 14. So just to kind of start off, we have an unmodified opinion because we agree with the numbers in the report, but we did have things that we found to be material weaknesses and significant deficiencies in the bond program itself and the kind of controls over that. And I'll go into those a little bit detail. But to start off, I should jump right into those because that's kind of the order. So that would be the interfund piece. So the biggest piece is you're borrowing funds from Fund 1, and those were borrowed from year to year, and they should have been paid back to the bond fund because that money, right, if you issue bonds, that's taxpayer funds and they should stay with the bond. And if you borrow them, you have to pay them back within 120 days, and that was not done. And then you can earn interest or use those for bond approved projects. The other one is related to kind of the process of tracking the cash in county treasury. So all the cash has to be in the county treasury. We were able to get to the balance, but at the time of this audit, that process was not completed the way it should have been. So you have to reconcile your cash with the county treasury. And that's a combination of issues at your county treasury and within the district. So making that task difficult. Okay. And then in addition, we do some performance procedures to make sure the bonds are spent correctly. We tested 30% of those expenditures, what we believe is a representative sample. And we feel that at least those projects we could tie to what was requested in the ballot measure. We also made sure that any employees charged to the bond program were working on the bond program. And then finally, because you are a county and a district, you're public, you have to follow public contract code. And so there are really strict guidelines on how bidding procedures are done. And in our testing, we found that at least 2 contracts did not have files that we could locate. So we couldn't determine if the bidding procedures were followed or not. And so the total of those 2 contracts is 1.2 million. So again, just findings. And then we tested some change orders to verify they did not exceed the 10% rule. And we found at least there, and if they do, they have to be approved by management or have a reason for that, or go back out to bid. So I summarized the findings and recommendations. Some of them are repeat findings. One of them is a repeat finding, the cash reconciliation process. The next report would be your 2024 report, and that would be the next audit. Do you have any specific questions I can answer on this report?
23 wasn't here.
Did you have something, Trustee?
No, I was gonna say, just from 23, wasn't here in 23, so I apologize.
Stephanie, were you going to add anything?
No, I was just hopping on and once Heather was thanking her for her time, and if anyone else has any questions for her while she's here.
Oh, Cindy, do you have any questions for Heather?
No, I wasn't here in 2023 either, so.
Do we, have we contracted for 24 and where the next audit that needs to be done? Have we contracted for that? And is that with you as well?
So am I, okay, to answer, I can answer. You are contracted with us for 2024. We are currently, the district and the county are currently undergoing the 24 audit. And in addition to that, pieces of the bond audit, but that will be a little bit, that'll be the third. So first it'll be the county and the district audits that'll be completed this month, and then the bond audit shortly after. So we are in the process of conducting the audit currently for 2024.
Do we have an ETA?
We're required to submit, have it ready by the end of this month.
Oh,
For the
okay.
districts.
And it looks like we're on track for that?
Yes, they're our auditing firm for that.
Okay, right, but I mean, are we on track to be able to have a report by the end of this month?
I'm meeting with Heather actually this week, and we're trying to make sure that we get everything they need. They had to reassign us a team, and so we're working through that.
Thank you. All right, we'll move on to PUSD third interim financial report. Stephanie?
Yes. Hi, everyone. Thank you, Heather. Thank you so much for your time. All right. So I realize now I can't tell how big this screen is. So I do have a presentation. Hopefully it'll be readable. It'll also be a PDF version in the minutes. So, or you can also reach out to me and I can send it to you. So hopefully you can review that later. So this is going to be the third interim report. Why are we doing a third interim report, right? That's the question. And so we are required under Ed Code that when we show a negative certification in our second interim, we are required to do a third interim to give an update on the information that was presented during the second interim. So because the PUSD had a negative certification at second interim, this is our third interim as required. So what does the third interim show? So a third interim shows an updated financial projection up to April 30th. Okay, so we review any updates in revenue, any updates in expenditure. We look at our fund balance projections. We also, make any inclusions in new adoptions of budgetary actions, which include layoffs, reductions, additional grants. And then we just confirm also our cash flow and reserve requirements. One of the biggest parts of our third interim reporting is to show our multi-year projection. Each one of our interim reports and our adopted budget and our unaudited actuals all come from this ability to have a obligation to meet our obligations for the current and 2 subsequent years. Okay, so current year and 2 years after this year. What we use for the multi-year projections is that we are pretty much evaluating our ability to remain solvent, right? And as our second interim presented and FICMAT's evaluation is that we do not have the ability to remain solvent. So since we showed in second interim we cannot meet this, we have to show again with updated information a MYP to demonstrate any adjustments we can make to lessen our insolvency risk. So why does this matter? We need to identify where the budget shortfalls will occur. We need to look at where reductions and corrective actions will take place. We also ensure transparency and accountability. This is an extra reporting period that helps show that we're trying to make progress in our fiscal health. And also, which is a requirement and shows oversight for our county office, FICMAT, CDE, and all of the community fiscal recovery. I just wanted to give some definitions here as I talk. You'll learn as I make some fiscal presentations. I like to educate in the moment that I share information. So you'll hear the word deficit. It comes up a lot, and it's one of our biggest issues with our budget here is that our expenditures exceed our revenues. And so this may not always be an issue if you have a multi-year funded grant that you get all the cash up front and you have a plan to spend it over multiple years. You can deficit spend because of that, but it's not structural. Structural deficit spending means that we are continually funding our district with more expenditures than revenues. Okay, so there's 2 different things. Deficit spending isn't always bad, but in this case, we are structurally deficit spending. Fund balance is the difference between total assets and liabilities. Okay, so what this really means in layman's terms is that we have our reserves, we have our expenditures and revenues, and it's the difference between those. So we take whatever our deficit is, and it gets subtracted from our reserves, and that would be our fund balance, okay? And another word I'm going to be using is assumptions. Assumptions is how we build out our multi-year projection. There are things that we use to estimate how our funding is going to be supported, right? And one of the things that the budget world lives in is that we live in what the information we have right now, which always will change, okay? The information we have like COLA, enrollment, staffing levels, benefits, all of these projections are assumptions that we use to try to project where we're going to be, okay? So often when I make reports, you'll hear me say things like, I can promise you it will not be that number, but it might be similar to that number, okay? Because we are working with the information we're given from the governor, from the state, from projections of taxes and things like that that don't actually get solidified until after we have to adopt our own budgets. Another quick little hint here as we move into some slides is that negative currencies in accounting will always be parenthesed, not formatted in a negative. Okay, so when you see those parenthesed numbers, it means that they are negative numbers, just so that we're not confused when we look at our reports. All right, so the assumptions used for the third interim are actually majority of the assumptions that were used from FCMAT's reporting coming forward. Due to the timelines, we use their numbers, and what we're adjusting for are any changes that we've received. So the large change that we received here is potentially the 2.5 salary increase that's on this board agenda as the information we have. We also got 2 additional revenues that changed our cash flow assumptions from a invoice for Medi-Cal revenue and our Golden State Pathways grant that went to CTE, all right? The rest of the information is considered status quo, right? We're not, on our multi-year projection, we're not breaking down every single budget line to say, oh, this person's leaving next year and then this person's coming in next year. What's the savings here? We really are just saying, if we stay in the status quo, can we withstand what we're doing, okay? So what is our multi-year projection showing us? Our multi-year projection showing us in current year, we have almost a $6 million deficit, and we have a negative fund balance of $2,663,000, okay? Next year, we have a larger deficit of almost $8.6 million and $11 million in negative fund balance, which then continues to grow, and we are maintaining the structural deficit of about $8.5 million and a fund balance of negative 19, close to $20 million, okay? So what this shows us is that we are still in a state of unable to meet our obligations in current year and 2 subsequent years. And I just wanted to show what that would look like in the report I gave you, so that you know what I'm talking about when I say that these are the lines we're looking for, okay? So in the multi-year projection, we have our total revenues minus our total expenditures, which equals, right, our ending fund balance. So, sorry, which equals our deficit, okay? So the deficit, that's how we get that number, is the revenues minus the expenditures equals deficit. Okay, so if this is negative, it means we're spending more than we're receiving. So how does this affect our fund balance, right? So our fund balance is here, and when you look at it, it actually gets split up between restricted and unrestricted, okay? So when you're looking here, you go, wait, that's $2 million. We have a negative $6.8 million in our unrestricted funds, but then we have a fund balance in our restricted funds of $4 million. So that gives us a net of a negative $2.6 million. Okay. So the other, this is just a visual representation of our structural deficit, which is ongoing expenditures that are exceeding our revenues. As you can see here, it's growing and then a little bit stabilizing in the next 2 subsequent years. And also how we are budgetarily insolvent. A multi-year projection does not tell us about our cash. It only tells us about our projections of insolvency, okay? Sometimes we use the word monopoly money when we're talking about budgets because they are hypothetical and they are not actual cash. And I'm about to go into our cash flow here. But as we can see from these representations, we are budgetarily insolvent and we are structurally deficit spending. So the second half of a third interim report is our cash flow. And cash flow is our ability to actually pay the bills. So while the multi-year projection focuses on long-term fiscal health, what is our projections? Cash flow shows a month-to-month liquidation of our cash to pay our bills. So whether or not the district has enough cash on hand to meet obligations, that is what we're looking for when we say the word cash insolvency. So why does this matter? Third interim is a fiscal checkpoint before the end of the year. The big end of the year reporting is our adopted budget and our estimated actuals. But for now, the third interim is a check-in point to see if we've made any structural changes. So we have to assess whether we can remain cash solvent throughout the 24-25 school year. We have to evaluate monthly and actually right now daily cash flow to see where we are to make sure we can meet our obligations. And we take action to try to preserve the liquidation of our cash. All right, so there was a spending freeze coming up, and that was one of those actions we tried to take to prevent going cash insolvent this year. So what do our actuals tell us? So through the year of 24-25, we are out of compliance due to interfund borrowing. As Heather mentioned, borrowing from Fund 35 that actually should have been in Fund 21 and other things like that. We do not have the ability to pay this back right now. So we are taking a hit and being out of compliance so that we don't have to go insolvent this current year, but we will eventually need to pay that back because we cannot keep that money in our account because it's not made as unrestricted money. These are restricted monies that have specific purposes. Except for Fund 17, well, we will permanently transfer our reserve, which is the purpose of Fund 17. Fund 17's job is to allow us to protect, it's approximately supposed to be 3 months of payroll. So that is going to be permanently transferred into our account. And once we go back into a state of fiscal health, we will start contributing back to Fund 17 for that. If a situation like this comes up again, we can protect ourselves from, not being able to pay payroll. And also the projections currently show that we will go cash insolvent in September of 2025. So the cash flow balances for the rest of this year, we have 15 million in April, 11 million in May, and then down to 5.6 million in June. So what this means is we start in 25-26 with only 5 million and we decrease, right, into 4 million, August into 1.3 million, and then the projections are showing the cash insolvency starting in September. So this is the third interim report. I hope if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer. Additionally, I'm happy to sit down with anyone who wants to review this more specifically, but I will say that the third interim is just a snapshot. If we will be having a really in-depth evaluation and more true expenditure projections when we adopt our budget in June, the June 18th meeting. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thanks for that, Stephanie. We're going to move on to PUSD Resolution 1679 to establish a cafeteria fund. Stephanie, do you want to explain this a little more, please?
Yeah, so Fund 13 is best practices. Keeping your cafeteria funds in your general fund can cause risk for the general fund. The way that a Fund 13 and cafeteria services are funded is we allow the state and federal reimbursement of school meals to be revenue to run a food service program. So because they are such restricted funds, we need to make sure that they're kept in a separate fund to allow for compliance, easy tracking, and really identify the budgetary obligations of our food service department. So, and the recommendation to be compliant and move forward with best practices, I'm requesting that Fund 13 be solidified and the food service budgets and payroll move into that fund.
Thank you, Stephanie. I will entertain a motion to approve PUSD Resolution 1679 to establish a cafeteria fund 13.
I make a motion to approve.
PUSD Resolution 1679 to establish a cafeteria fund 13.
I second that.
Cindy seconds.
Yes.
All in favor? Go ahead. Sorry.
Harrison,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Prim.
Aye.
You also need to approve the audit and the third interim.
Okay, each of those need approval as well?
Yes.
Thank you. Can I get a motion to approve bond measure B 2022-23 financial audit report?
I approve.
Do you want to second that?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And a motion to approve PUSD third interim financial report.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we're gonna move on to interview of the candidates for appointment of board represent trustee area 5E. Before the two members come up, we will take, sorry, Jeff, did you have something? Okay. We will take public comment, so I will invite Julie Tanaka up.
So I would like to begin by saying that anyone that's applying or willing to be seeking this position during this critical time obviously has the best interests of our teachers, students, and staff is prioritizing their best interests. So Matt, Keith, you guys are all here for the same reasons, otherwise you wouldn't have wanted to step forward at this time. But I'm going to utilize my time just to read a couple letters that some employees submitted to me because they can't be here, and I said I would utilize my public comment to read it. To whom it may concern, it is with best pleasure and without reservation that I write to express my strong support for Keith Burnett. I have had the opportunity to meet Keith roughly 20 years ago, and throughout the years, I have never had a negative experience. He has always been a great person to bounce ideas off of, and he offers some direction. Keith has been a successful business owner, and I have personally seen the work he performs. He has a lot of pride in his craftsmanship and relationships. I have been particularly impressed by Keith's commitment to actions demonstrating commitment, careful review of budget proposals, and advocacy for efficient resource allocation, and have helped ensure that our schools are making the most of taxpayers' dollars while still providing a high-quality education. Keith possesses the vision, integrity, understanding of the needs of our diverse student body necessary to effectively lead our schools. He consistently demonstrates a genuine commitment to the well-being of students, the support of teachers, and fostering strong community partnerships. His broader impact, thoughtful decision-making, and dedication to the long-term success of our district will make him an invaluable asset to the school district board. For these reasons, I wholeheartedly endorse Keith Barnett for school board. I am confident that he will continue to serve our community with dedication and distinction. Thank you for your time and consideration. And this is from Brandon Kirk in the transportation department. If I have time, I'll get through this one.
I'll just restart because you're reading for
Talking
someone
for somebody
else.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
so you're restarted.
This one's, dear members of the PCOE PUSD School Board, it is with genuine enthusiasm that I write to express my strong support for Keith Barnett's candidacy for the school board. As a fellow community member, I have come to know Keith as someone deeply invested in the well-being of our town and its future. Keith's experience as a small business owner in our community provides him with a unique and valuable perspective. Running a local enterprise has honed his problem-solving skills, requiring him to navigate challenges with pragmatism and find effective solutions. His proven financial responsibility, essential for the success of his business, would be a significant asset in overseeing the school district's resources and ensuring fiscal accountability. Beyond his business acumen, Keith's commitment to our community is evident. As a local business owner, he understands firsthand that strong schools are integral to a thriving local economy and a bright future for all of our families. He is not just a business owner, he is engaged in our community members who interacts with a diverse range of individuals and understands the varied needs and perspectives within our school district. The ability to make sound and timely decisions is crucial for any leader, and as a small business owner, Keith demonstrates the skill on a daily basis. I am confident he would bring this same level of thoughtful consideration to the important matters facing our school board. Furthermore, His deep understanding of the local economy provides him with valuable insights into preparing our students for the opportunities and challenges of our region. In conclusion, I believe Keith Barnett's blend of business experience, community involvement, and genuine commitment to our town make him an exceptional candidate for the school board. I urge you to give his candidacy your full consideration. Sincerely, Anthony Arcangeli, and he's from the Transportation Department also. Okay, that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Julie. Emily Patterson.
Hello, my name is Emily Patterson. I'm a resident of East Quincy, a parent, and a business owner. I also run a nonprofit that collaborates with the county fire department and other volunteers to place the military banners you see on Highway 70 during the month of November.
Thank you.
I would like to voice my support for Keith, Mr. Barnett, to represent East Quincy on this school board. Over the last few years, I've worked with Keith at Quincy Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, where he currently teaches striking and self-defense classes. I know him to be an excellent coach to teens and adults in his classes. He is patient, consistent in his delivery of feedback. He is encouraging and has strong values. Something that I truly appreciate is his willingness to listen without intention to immediately tell a person why they may or may not be right or wrong, but to instead hear them out and understand their point of view. This quality truly speaks to his strength of character. I'd like to thank Keith for his willingness to make himself available, to listen to all the parents and other community members about what is important to us moving forward should he be added to this school board. Over the past few months, this experience has been extremely disheartening. The realization of what has been going on and the enormity of the impact to our communities is a lot to absorb. At his presentation in Portola, Mr. Fine was asked how the school board could do better, and he respectfully stated that our school board needs to learn and improve our governance. Governance includes transparency, accountability, and effective follow-up to procedures and rules. Taking into account the role of the school board going forward, I feel that it best suits our community to have Keith Barnett in this position. Thank you. Thanks for listening.
Thank you.
Brianne Olson.
Good evening. I'm here tonight to show my support for Keith Barnett as District 5 representative. Keith would be a strong choice to the board for many reasons, among being an entrepreneur and successful business owner within our community, which gives him the experience and the grit that the board would benefit from. He is going to have the best interest of the students in our district, not just as a parent, but as a coach too. Keith is going to take the time to research answers to the hard questions. We need a different perspective in this precedent time, and Keith will bring that. We cannot keep having members that have close friendships on the board, as it can cause conflict of interest and affect decision-making. In the coming months and years, the board will need to make hard choices. I believe Keith will be a well-fortified asset to the board during this time and moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bridget.
Hello, everyone. So I'm also here to support Keith as a member of our school board. Keith is a no-nonsense leader who speaks his mind and addresses the tough issues others often avoid. He doesn't sugarcoat the truth or play politics. He tells it like it is, and that kind of honesty is exactly what this board needs. Our students, staff, and community deserve leadership that values truth over comfort and action over appearances. Frankly, the board has started to resemble more of a soap opera than a serious body responsible for shaping the future of our district. Personal relationships, favoritism, and behind the scenes have no place in school governance. Bringing in people based on who you know or who you are related to is not leadership. It is a conflict of interest, it is dysfunction, and it is disgusting. Keith Barnett will not be a part of that. He is committed to putting the right people in the right roles based on merit, not personal connections. He will hold others accountable and push for decisions that serve all students and not just the board's inner circle. We need less of the buddy system and more purpose. Keith Barnett is strong, clear, and a principled voice our district needs right now. Thank you.
Thanks, Susan. Is there any other comment, any other public comment for this? All right, Keith and Matt, why don't you both come up to the podium area? We have some questions. I'm going to give you guys each a copy of the questions because sometimes I prefer to read and listen simultaneously. And then the three of us will take turns asking. So Keith, you'll get to go first for the first question, and then Matt, you'll get to go first for the second question, and alternate like that. Okay?
And, well, and actually, go ahead, because I can speak loud enough. That's all right, just ask the question anyway. So with Keith starting, so what motivated you to apply for a position on the school board, and what do you hope to achieve during your tenure?
Okay, what motivated me to apply for being on the school board is I've been paying attention to what happens at the school board for quite a while. I had a really close friend that was here that we started a business quite a while ago, and they moved away because of what was going on and allowed to go on in the district. The guy was highly educated, highly knowledgeable, and very informative and very amazing to this community, to the children. What that person cared about was crazy to see the district push him out because he didn't agree with some of the things that were going on with the district. That right there kind of gave me an idea to start paying attention. So I started watching the meetings, started running numbers, started checking things, and as a 20-year veteran of multi-businesses successfully, and my son in school, and a lot of my other friends in school and stuff, I started like diving into it, trying to find factual information. I mean, I can be outspoken, and some people could say it's a hothead, but a lot of people get confidence confused with arrogance. And I just started seeing after this whole last 6 months to a year of what's really taking place. And my whole business life in 20 years plus has been on accountability. If I make a mess with something, I clean it up. It doesn't matter what it is. I tell people I'm gonna do something, I do it. I don't do it for my benefit, I do it for the benefit of walking away from somebody and having them very happy at what I did because I told them I was gonna do that. Now, the last 6 months, I've spent a lot of time talking to teachers, educators, and what I call the ungreased wheels and gears of the district that nobody pays attention to. And the first thing that really made me sad is when I was talking to these people almost every time, and there's a lot of them. I mean, my hands and toes do not count as many people as I talk to. They all say, "Can I trust you?" And I said, "Why would you ask me that?" Well, because anytime I bring anything up, the retaliation and everything that comes at me, I have a family to feed, and I don't want to step forward. So I had to build trust and relationships with a lot of these people and communicate with the ones that didn't know me. And then basically they started to open up to me. And at that point in time, the only thing I could do to get their voices heard, I don't know if it's because of the chain of command and the way this district runs from all the different schools and everything, but when there's a conflict or something, it gets stopped. And people are afraid to address it, they're afraid to sit down and talk about it, and they're afraid to make procedures and policies better to eliminate some of the most ridiculous things I've heard from some of these people. With that being said, once I got the people to start trusting me and understand there was nothing I could do in the situation that was occurring, so I told those people, who can I talk to on the board that you could bring your attention to? And almost every single one of them said, not one of them. And that kind of shocked me because these are the people as board members we represent as a whole. And at that point in time, it was like, okay, I'm gonna be serious about this. I'm gonna talk to people, I'm gonna find out. So I started having people email Chelsea because people asked me. I personally have never met any one of you guys, briefly in Portola and briefly in Portola. I've never met you before. And I started having people email Chelsea. And there was nothing I could do to take the information from them because it would be a third-party thing, and I didn't want to do it. So that is kind of the main thing why I wanted to run for the board is I've built my career off accountability. And if I sit at one of those seats, I'm not just gonna raise my hand just to get through the meetings quicker. I'm gonna pay attention to what's going on. I'm gonna take analytics and factual data and put it in front of myself, and I'm gonna read it, understand it, before I put my hand up and say it. So that's what made me want to run for a school board member.
And so I answer question number 2, correct?
Answer question number 1. What?
Oh, question number 1,
Yeah.
okay.
Would you like me to repeat it, or?
No, I have it right
Okay.
here. So as far as what motivated me to apply for the position, it was simple, I got asked. To be honest, I didn't know, I knew there was some trouble, I knew there was some issues, stuff that concerned me. I haven't met any of you guys. I did meet Jody at one point, in the, I think it was the fall, I made a phone call to her. I had a concern about field trips being cut. My son is in the ag program, FFA. Those kids work really hard for that. They had built up this field trip, and I found out that it was gonna be cut, possibly be cut. So I did some research really quickly, tried to find out what we could do, and I made a presentation to the board. First time I met you guys, at that time I was given a phone number for Jody, and I reached out to her. I think she called me back after the meeting because she was out of town on vacation, out of cell service. She called me, I explained why I was calling, and then I had made a presentation to the board. You guys graciously accepted the presentation that I had, and we were able to get the field trip funded. I don't think that there was ever a time where it was not going to be funded, but that's how I think communication is a really big important step for this. So getting into that, I was asked about a month later if I would consider being on a panel, an interview panel, for hiring the new superintendent. I thought I was honored, I was humbled, and absolutely I take the school district stuff and my son's school, my daughter went here, I take it very, very seriously. So I agreed to it. I went back and talked with my family. We talked about it. Shortly after that, I don't know the time frame exactly, I was notified that it was, that the state was likely taking over and that position would be postponed as far as that goes. I was contacted by a couple of teachers that asked if I would consider running for the board. And after hearing today, I really support my first idea, which was no. And I wanted to learn more about it, and so I started asking some questions. I reached out to some teachers, I reached out to some faculty, and really tried to find out more about it and what was involved. I did reach out to Jody because I don't know any of you on the board. I've never spoken with you, so I asked her, what are the commitments like? What am I looking at? And stuff to see if it's something I could possibly do. I did some of my research, finding out I don't have as much research as Keith has done. He's been at this a little bit longer than I have. And I care about kids. It's the most important thing we have. It's our future. And we deserve to give them a safe place to learn. And to have the tools available to them to learn. To have our teachers feel like they're supported. Our staff feel like they're supported. And that goes from the superintendent to the volunteer holding the chain sign or the chains on flag football on the football field. It goes to everybody, and we have to work together for that. And so that's basically where I came from to try to make it. It's easy to focus on mistakes, blame people, and my vision is what we can do to move forward and to make it better. I don't have an issue with having a tough conversation. I never have. And we're gonna have to do some tough stuff. There's also gonna be a new thing with the state coming in. That's gonna be a whole different ballgame. So I pledge to you guys to communicate and to be fair. I also wanted to say that I appreciate everybody here. Everybody here, we have the same goal. We want the best for our kids. And that's what I'm here for, is to represent you guys as well. Even though you didn't necessarily come to support me or Keith, it doesn't matter. We're both here for the same thing. We have different personalities and different experiences. That's life. Thank you.
Oh, hang on to it.
Hang on to it. It's gonna be done. All right, so the question is, in your opinion, what is the role of a governing board member?
Okay, so I believe that it is we're gonna have to make decisions, and I think that's a two-part question as far as what is the opinion of the governing board and what it is today. Because I think that's two very different answers, and what it's going to be when the state is taking over and telling it. I believe it's gonna be advisory. I hope that to be able to be a voice for programs that, and teachers, and for when the state's making cuts, to be a voice for the students and for the staff and for the district, so we can somehow become solvent again. And so we're not operating like this, so that we can provide the best learning situation that we can.
Thank you.
Thank you.
What my opinion is of a governing board member. I feel that as a governing board member, you are the ultimate decision of what the district decides financially, sports-wise, education-wise, procedure-wise, policy-wise, all the above. I just feel it goes back to the accountability thing, and that's how I built my business my entire life. Everything that has happened, everything that's going to happen, yes, the state is gonna come in, they're probably gonna take over, but I feel at a board, if we can show the state that we are trying to do the right thing, they are gonna give us the ultimatum, okay, and look at us and go, they're making the right decisions. Or, as other people have said, talking about me, I just speak from the truth, they're gonna look at us and go, this is why you're in this situation, no, this is what we're doing. So I think as a board member, we have to communicate with each other, we have to do the data analyst of what we have in front of us, we have to basically be on the same page, we have to be able to bring things to light, and there's always a famous saying, if there's 4 people sitting there, there's 8 eyes is better than 2, there's 8 ears is better than 2, and so on. So it's not to play with conflict or dive in it and blame each other. Like Matt said, there's nothing we can do from here of the past. We have to go forward, we have to find a good solution, we have to work together, we have to find a common ground, we have to make educated decisions, and when it comes down to it, the bottom line is it's for the teachers, the educators, and the children, and what's left we dissipate out between the rest of the staff. We can go back and forth, don't we?
Yeah, you get the next one. You get to start the next one.
So I want people to know what you're asking, so what you're answering. Okay.
Want me to read them out then?
Do you mind?
Yeah, no problem.
Oh, great, go ahead.
I mean, I did educational stuff for construction in front of 2,000 people at times, so it doesn't bother me.
I love it.
How would you prioritize the needs of the school district, including fiscal, academics, extracurricular activities, and community engagement? I mean, this is kind of where I could go into a story about this kind of stuff, because the last 20 years of my life, I've watched Quincy, Portola, and Chester have elective programs, music programs, sports programs, and if you guys don't understand and are new to here, which a lot of you guys are not, we live in a beautiful area. So our kids don't start to really go out and start playing in the forest and the woods and all that stuff until they're a little bit older driving around. These programs that we have kept our kids out of trouble, have kept our kids sane, have kept our kids on track, have actually taught our kids discipline and all the above. And I don't just mean sports, even though my kid plays sports. I'm talking musical programs, art programs, everything that children do in these schools is very important. So basically as a board member, what I would try to do is I would try to find, especially going into the state of what we're doing control-wise there, try to find any possible way we can, not affecting financial budgeting, to keep kids engaged, keep the parents engaged, keep the teachers engaged, and find ways to do things with programs that the kids are already involved into. I mean, a lot of the sports and stuff and 4-H and everything else parents pay for, a lot of it is because we love our kids and stuff, but we also have to keep in mind there's a lot of kids out there that don't have the compassion and the caring of what we provide our kids. So we have to find a way to be able to do that for everybody involved. Economic-wise, well, we have a CBO who runs everything down there. As board members, I feel our job is to take the paperwork that she gives us It's not that we're being an audit and double checking what they're doing, but as I said in the first or the second comment, when we raise our hands, it's the ultimate decision that affects this board. So I just feel, not looking at the past, but moving forward, there just needs to be a little bit more effort dove into that and making sure that we are making the right decisions. I feel in the past, not bringing it up and trying to smear anybody or anything like that, I feel a lot of us were just kind of had the wool pulled over our eyes and eyelids pulled down, and people were given information that wasn't factual information. And just because people get comfortable and people like kind of start to not really pay attention to it is why we're in the situation we're in. That comes to economics, it comes to the programs for the kids, and then personally I would just go around, and my goal is to go around. It doesn't mean just East Quincy. I'll go to Portola, I'll go to Chester. I want to talk with the principals, I want to talk with the teachers, talk with the bus barn people, talk with the people in maintenance, ask them, even though we're in a financial crisis right now, what would you guys like to do? What would make your job a lot more positive to come to work every single day and make you comfortable? Doing a lot of leadership in my life with the construction industry and stuff, I've learned a long time ago, I pay my guys more, even though they're not worth it, because the way the economic state is now, if you make 15 to 20 bucks an hour, you can barely pay your bills. So if people can pay their bills and they can take care of themselves and they have a happy, comfortable environment to work in, you'd be amazed what the outcome comes. So that's kind of my foresight of what I would like to do. I mean, a lot of people know me as an outspoken person, so I'll go around, talk to people, ask them what their opinions are on their problem, and just, I mean, you gotta just throw oil in all the wheels of the whole system. You can't just grease parts of it, you gotta grease everything. So with that said, that's where I'm at with that one.
First, I don't think you can have a school district if you don't pay the bills. You can't turn the lights on, you can't pay teachers, you can't pay the staff, you have to have that. So first and foremost, I think we have to solve this, we have to figure it out. And how that is, I don't have the answer for that. I have the passion to find it, and I have the passion to work with people. I have the passion to work with the state, been doing it for a while, and to take that on. As far as academics, I think that comes second. You have to have academics. And the extracurricular activities, they're important. I agree with Keith 100%. Keeping our kids busy, keeping them doing stuff. You know, it's not that they're all gonna play football and they're gonna be professional football players, but they're learning that they have to go to practice every day. They're learning respect from their coaches. They're learning that, and I think we're missing that. So losing those programs, we have to fight as hard as we can to do that. If that means we have to teach our kids to go out and do more fundraising and be there with them, then we have to do that. I've done a lot of that over the years with both my kids. And I think that that's something that we can work on. We have to be engaged with the community. They don't trust you guys right now. And I don't mean that as an insult, but they don't. And we have to get that back. Whether it's me, whether it's Keith, it doesn't matter who it is. We have to get that back. And we have to show up prepared. And we have to figure out how to make these tough decisions. And hopefully we can rely on the help of the state of California to guide us through this, because they're coming in and we're gonna have to understand that. I think we have to have communication with the public, and we have to have it so we have open communication, honest communication, where they trust everything we're doing. And that's what I pledge to you. Thank you.
Thank you.
I agree, so.
Matt, you go next.
I go next, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so how do you view the role of respectful communication and collaboration within a governing board? Can you share an experience from your past where you faced criticism for your communication style and how you responded to that feedback? Like I said, I've only addressed the board one time, and when I did, it's something that means a lot to me as far as ag programs and our students. And I was nervous getting up there. You guys treated me with respect. I wasn't on the agenda, didn't know how the rules work. I made my presentation. I was grateful for the reception that I got. In times as you get older, a little wiser hopefully, I'm a little bit slower to respond. And I think about what I say. And I've worked in an industry that demands that every day. What I say matters. I worked also in the tile profession before that, was a manager of over hundreds of people. You learn things to say and not to say. I've been to a lot of different training for that. And I wanted to, I guess, we're products of the things we've been through and the experiences we've had. And I'm not quick to speak. I want to do my research. I don't want to sit up here and be told we're wrong. Nobody does. I'm willing to do the work to do that. And I think that's the biggest thing as far as my communication skills is I want to make sure that I'm getting up there and speaking the truth and speaking with respect. Yeah.
How do you view the roles of respect, communication, collaboration within a governing board? Can you share an experience from your past where you faced criticism for your communication style and how you responded to the feedback? One of the hardest things I can say to do as an educator myself is teach middle age to people who are my father and grandfather's age that they've been doing things wrong in construction in front of 200 people or 60 people at different events and stuff. The only way that I could do that at first, going to the criticism part, is you get, who does this young kid think he is? I've been doing this for 40, 50 years. You don't get irritated, you don't get frustrated with it, and through my experience with that, I had a really good teacher, and I showed them with education, knowledge, and technology. I would get down on the ground, hands-on with these people, and show them, explain to them what I'm doing, and not be arrogant, not be pushy, nothing like that. I would just communicate with them, smile with them, enjoy what we're doing, engage with them, have them engage with me. And then as you would sit there and say for instance, putting tile down correctly and having bond underneath of it. When somebody's used to bonding a tile and there's only 10% bond on the bottom of that tile and they think they've been doing it right their whole entire life. I work for the National Tile Contractors Association. You start to pop the tile up and you show that individual, you ask them, what do you think? What do you got there? They're like, 65, 70%. Okay, go ahead. They pop it up, maybe 8, maybe 12. And they kind of look at you. And then you get down on the ground with them and you show them industry standards, why respectfully, honestly, and not with an attitude or anything like that. And you watch that light pop in their head when they pop their tile and see that that coverage is 100%. And the expression, I just can't explain it. We got a guy who's been doing it for twice my living age, looks at that tile and looks up at you. And the first thing that comes to your mind is, this guy just realized he's been doing it wrong most of his life, and now he's paying attention to the science of what we're showing him. So that's how I respond to criticism. I find a way to kind of dive into it, and instead of taking it to heart, opening up to it, and looking at different avenues to go forward and show the people what I mean rather than attack them. Respect, you give respect, you get respect. You talk to people respectfully, you're gonna get respect back. There's just individuals, and we all know them, we've all seen them, that you just can't engage with. You have to just kind of, okay, give them their time, and that kind of thing happens. But that's kind of how I've dealt with it most of my life, and I was taught by a really good person that taught me how to do that, and that's what I can say about that. What is your understanding of the current challenges facing our school district, and what strategies would you propose to address them? There's all kinds of things that I've found in the last couple of years diving into the school district that the board doesn't know. principals don't know, or an athletic director doesn't know. It just doesn't seem like there's a lot of communication between individuals that are scared to bring things up. And in the past, we don't like to bring in the past, but in the past, anytime somebody would bring something up and try to get resolved, things would happen to certain individuals and they would kind of just go into their little shell and hide. I would like to try to break that, help people communicate, find ways like popping that tile and getting that person to have a light and reach out to Chelsea or Jody or Cindy or Jolie and communicate. Obviously, have the chain of command, so you'd start with your teachers, and I've done that. I've started with the assistants and the subs and things of that nature, and teachers, and gone to the superintendents and the supervisors and stuff. But I want to help with that. Is a big process. The financial side, we have to budget, we have to look at what's going on. I mean, just because the state's coming in and going to bail us out, doesn't mean we just continue on like everyday life like we have been. Like Stephanie was saying, if we don't have the money and we're spending more than we have, there's obviously a problem. So there isn't a quick answer for that. There's a lot of analytics and a lot of graphs and charts that have to be looked at. There's a lot of things that have to be budgeted. I just personally don't feel that students are going to be mainly affected more by teachers, educators, and the staff that they see firsthand. I mean, sometimes those cafeteria workers hug those kids and they don't even get hugged when they go home. So that kind of bugged me when I was reading all that kind of stuff. But to make that, I don't know, we would just work together, try to find solutions, and bring light to things, and make it okay to talk about things rather than hide and worry about being fired or not having a job, because when somebody's not comfortable like that, the outcome of everybody's energy, mental, physical, is not good.
Thank you.
So I think this is not a simple question. It appears like it is, it's not. We're a mess. We're upside down money-wise. We're being taken over by the state. It's kind of as bad as it gets. This area has endured a lot. We've had fires, COVID, we've had a lot of firsts and a lot of stuff. I don't think one thing is what caused us to get into this situation. I think it's a perfect storm, but it's a bad one. And we need leadership to get through and to navigate it and to work well with others. I think as a board member, I think we need more training. I think that was shown. I think we need to take advantage of that. Somebody who's had a lot of training over the years, from sexual harassment to before it was popular, now it's all required for most of the industries, for hostile work environments, for stuff like that. We have to be up on what is needed. And I don't think we are. I know I'm not. And I propose that's one of the first things that I would look at, so that we're making decisions where we have the answers and we're not getting grievances. We don't want to go through the process where we have to have something grieved because we didn't follow the rules. I'm a rule follower. I was that way before my current job. I've always been that way. And we need to make sure that we are following the rules that we need to follow. And with that comes a lot of education and a lot of learning. I guess, and the best way to say how I would propose to address them is head on, not shy. What is it? Let's figure it out. What can we do as a board to get through this? What can we do to gain the trust? I think trust is one of the biggest things we're missing, and rightfully so. So that's one. No, I go to the next one. Sorry.
You're good. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, the next question. How do you plan to engage and communicate with parents, teachers, and the community regarding school board decisions and policies? The same way I've addressed issues that I've had for school. I've been in your office a couple times where I wasn't upset about stuff, or I was upset about stuff. I remember one of them, I was upset we all know what to do when you stop, drop, and roll, right? Or when you're on fire, stop, drop, and roll. Well, for safety, for an active shooter, people don't like to talk about it. We're behind as a district. So I came to you and I expressed my concerns as a parent. Things start happening. And I think you have to be honest. And you have to say things, there's gonna be cuts. If I'm on the board, there's gonna be cuts you guys are pissed at me for. But they're gonna have to be made. I've ran businesses, I work for the state. There's gonna have to be cuts that are made that nobody's happy, but it's what we're going to have to do. And all I can promise is that every one of those cuts will be made with, is this the best thing that we can do for our students? Second, is this the best thing that we can do for our staff? And that's what I have for that.
How do you plan to engage in the community with parents, teachers, and the community regarding the school board decisions and policies? Like Matt said, this is kind of a tricky loaded question. First of all, things that are involving the board, you cannot really discuss with the public. You have to be protected by the Brown Act, and everything has to be communicated in front of the public. You have to give them public comments before, after, and give them a chance to stand up and communicate, even if you feel it's probably not right. Because as Matt said, we have to earn the trust back of the community. And right now, it's not very good on the trust of the community with what's going on. So my biggest thing is to be transparent, but be communicative with the community. And I think another thing that needs to happen is people need to be educated on the Brown Act. Me personally, I paid $200 and had an attorney friend of mine from San Diego explain it to me for quite a while, just so I understand it, so I will open my mouth and say something I'm not supposed to. Going around talking to people, teachers, educators, students, principals, athletic directors, everything, district employees, whatever we need to do, that is not protected by the Brown Act because it's not a decision made by the board. I think the community needs to understand that kind of stuff more because you guys get attacked 24/7, or we'll get attacked, he'll get attacked, whoever you choose, about the Brown Act stuff. So I think there could be something we could do probably to find an educational system on the Brown Act and let people understand how it works so that they would get off your back and start to trust you a little more. Because once people start to build trust into the board, it seems like people online, in person, whatever, attack the board for that kind of thing. With the teachers, same thing, like I talked about earlier, we just go around, communicate with people, and find out. I mean, the only way to learn what somebody's thinking is ask them. The only wrong question I tell people is the one you don't ask me. And you get a lot of responses for that. Be respectful to people, communicate with people, but then again, like Matt said, it goes back to it over and over, is winning the trust of the community back. I mean, we have elections coming up probably for these board seats eventually, and we want to keep people where they're sitting, and we all want to work together, and we need to turn the avenue of the community to trust everybody again. I mean, that's the biggest thing. It's not that you guys did anything that's untrustworthy. I feel that everything happens for a reason, and basically people just got into positions where they thought they were comfortable in doing the right thing, but the wool was pulled over our eyes. And that comes to the accountability thing. I own stuff at work every single day. I don't work for the state. On the professional training level and stuff like that, I just kind of have taught myself over the years what to say and what not to say when it's coming to getting yourself in trouble, politically and professionally. So that's, I don't know, that's probably all I can ramble on about that one. And number 7, the final. Can you describe a situation where your team faced a significant challenge or setback? How did you approach the situation in terms of accountability and communication? Specifically, what strategies did you use to address any mistakes, and did you ensure that your feedback fostered a learning environment? I'm a contract, we're going for hours, I'm crazy. I did a giant deck project up at Bugs Lake, a really monster cabin that was beautiful, and I trusted the manufacturer on the products, and we did everything the manufacturer's recommendations, and we put it down. We basically noted everything, took videos of everything, and the good old mother nature of 15 to 27 feet of snow up at Bucks Lake proved that these manufacturers and scientists for this company had no idea what they were doing. Noted this was a very substantial amount of finances to build this deck coating. And I was taught a long time ago, and it's one of the reasons I became a boss for myself, because I got tired of supervisors screaming and yelling at me. And I said, well, instead of doing what is going on right now, I pledged to myself when I start my own business, instead of screaming and yelling at people for making mistakes, you can take the same amount of energy that you can do that for, turn it around and put it to a solution to what you're doing. So basically, I just told the owner, don't worry about it. I'll take care of it. It's not your responsibility. My insurance isn't going to cover it because the manufacturing failed. It is what it is. Took the equipment up there, took the employees up there. Cost me a bunch of more money on the payroll side too, because I wanted it to be an education factor for my employees as well. I wanted to dissect that system, explain every detail. Normally you could skip a deck out like that probably in a day. It took us 3 days because I wanted to explain to them as we broke the layers down what failed and what happened. We went through the whole entire thing. Got it all the way down. Homeowner was amazed that we did that, thought there was going to be some conflict, but they were really good friends of ours, so business and friendship is hard to keep apart. And the first as it is, but back to the accountability thing, I just took accountability for it and had to pick out another system, ate the bill on it, put it down, walked away, still really good friends, actually almost like family, and that's just one of the probably hundreds of explanations I can give you on doing something like that. But yeah, you just gotta put the energy that you would take into flipping out, throwing a fit about it, doing whatever you're gonna do, making all your energy not good, and use that energy to find a solution and fix the problem.
I have two things. He talked more than I did. The first one is, I was a general manager of a tile company. I oversaw payroll, training, you name it, day-to-day operations, scheduling for a very large tile company. And I also did the bidding for commercial jobs and all the jobs. And shortly after we started a job, I realized I missed something. And it cost about $7,000 that we ate as a company. I was mortified. I was like, I just lost this money. It's not my money, but it's my responsibility. I took it to heart, and it's my mistake. I went to the owner of the company, and I said, hey, I messed up. I missed this. I figured out it's going to cost us about $7,000. He looked at me, and he was kind of a hothead. And he looked at me, and he told me, okay, let's fix it. And we went out there, got our tools on, and I wasn't setting tile every day at that point. Got our tools on, and we worked with the guys, we fixed it. The next day, I'm going over some blueprints, and you can tell something's off, because I didn't sleep at all that night, if you know me. I didn't sleep at all. And I take it very seriously. And he looked at me, and he said, come here. And we walked out back, and I said, oh man, I'm getting fired. And he looked at me, and he said, you messed up, did you do it on purpose? I said, no, you know that. And he goes, all right, well, if you keep dwelling on this, and if you keep dwelling on the past, we're never gonna get to the future. And now you're never gonna miss this ever again. And I think that applies to us here in this situation. We have to look forward, and it's very important. The second thing, and this is by far the hardest thing I've ever gone through in my life. It was harder than going through a CHP academy at 32 with a whole bunch of broken bones. Both my folks were killed in a car crash in 2007. I found out, and I was devastated, like nothing you could ever believe. I had a hard time getting up. And my sister and I flew back to Wyoming. My dad was sick, and we flew back to get their belongings. He was sick. They were going to the Mayo Clinic. They were on a road trip. And we went back, we met with the Rock Springs Highway Patrol in Wyoming, went through, talked to the lieutenant there for about 45 minutes. I don't remember anything of the first 40 minutes. I remember everything from the last 5 minutes, because it changed my life forever. I went and he explained to us that he was on scene with my folks' crash. They died instantly. It's all the good news you want to hear, right? They didn't suffer. Then he got really quiet and he said that there was a memorial marker that they put up in the state of Wyoming. Put it behind my desk, or it's behind, a picture of one is behind his desk. Took a deep swallow, is the best way I can describe it. From that moment on, I remember every freckle on Lieutenant Noonan's face. And he said, I tell you this because there's a picture of that same memorial marker, and it's of my 16-year-old daughter that was killed on the same section of the highway. I walked out, and I quit a job that was probably better than the one I have now. And I walked out to the front porch and I called my wife. It was a flip phone. Those fold in half for the younger people. And I let them know. I called my wife and I said, I'm going to quit my job. I said, this man just took 45 minutes of his time. And he was in his 50s. I was in my 30s. I was a grown man. I had a wife. I had a daughter. But that's me. I called my wife, I asked her to find out how to get an application for the highway patrol. I'm going to quit my job and I'm going to join the highway patrol. She said I was crazy. and I did just that. Because when it matters and something's important to me, I see it through. And people mean everything to me. Kids mean everything to me. And that's what I'm here in front of you guys. And I know we have people supporting Keith or myself. And I know we're both here to support kids. That's where my heart is, and my passion is, and I promise to be true to that. Thank you.
So, thank you both. The board has, per ed code, we can reconvene where we can go to closed session for 10 minutes and confer with one another and then come back out and have discussion about that. So we're going to take, I think probably less than that, but a 10-minute little break and we'll be right back. Started again.
Well, thank you for public service. Thank you for I thought I'd do 2 copies. I think it's on. We're gonna go ahead and close this meeting out.
Thank you.
Chelsea, you had a clarifying question you wanted to
No,
ask?
I wanted to ask if there was an opportunity to do it, so I did not have one specifically. I was trying to process it, but I just wanted to see if there was an option to. So as we discussed, I just wanted to see if there was an option to ask another question if it was available.
There,
Okay, good.
would you like to ask another question?
No,
at the
not
end?
yet.
All right, so some of the discussion that took place for us just now is we couldn't be more pleased to have 2 people in our community that are so engaged in supporting this effort moving forward. We're very pleased with that. The 3 of us agreed that we weren't going to tell one another who our choices were in that room. We were just going to talk about what we appreciated about what each of the candidates had to say and whether or not we had any concerns. Really, I'll speak for myself. You know, I have a few concerns that there's been things going wrong for years at a time, and there was no way to handle it until you felt like you could email, you know, one particular board member. I want to apologize if that was how somebody felt. I'm a person that when I hear there's an issue, I take immediate action, and I don't stop until something can be dealt with, and understanding that a lot of times there's more than one side of the story, so it takes a little work, but it's something that I really want to own in this room tonight and make a commitment to anybody going forward that if you need assistance, you can reach out to me, and I'm somebody who will take action. And I think I demonstrated that this September when we took some action at executive level here at the school district. But again, I'm very pleased with the 2 candidates and look forward to working with both of them in any capacity. And so I'll let Cindy and then Chelsea add to this, and then we'll each tell each other who we have picked, and the person who gets 2 votes will be on the team. So, Cindy.
Let her go first.
Oh, thanks a lot.
That is what I
I was kind of hoping for that little extra moment.
You know me, I have to gather my thoughts.
Well, same here.
Okay, so it is very difficult because I know throughout, a snippet, right? We got a visual snippet on a piece of paper, and I don't hire that way, and I didn't hire that way, and my hiring career is very limited, but it is very difficult to understand a person and get to know them on a piece of paper, so which is why I appreciate the interview process. But it also was very difficult in the interview process because they supported each other during the interview. It was not a debate, it was not a fight, so that was no fun for me. Sorry, just kidding.
All right, Keith, let's do it.
I know. So, and as you can, I tend to joke when I'm nervous, and this decision is a big decision. I went unopposed, so it was a well, I don't know if it was an easy decision for me or for the board at that time, but I can appreciate the experience that both of you have, and I can appreciate where both of you are coming in from and wanting to make a difference, because I feel the same, and just like you both agreed with each other up there, is that what the point of the end result is. I think we are on a turn, a positive turn, because we have already made some major changes recently. And I am rambling because I feel like there is a couple of questions that I want to ask, but I don't feel any of them are going to help, because it really has put both of you are on the same experience. I don't want to say same experiences, but you have different experiences to produce the same, what you both want as the same result. So how do we determine who is a better person to be up here to help make decisions and help be a part of? But what I am hoping for, that I have started in my own community, is community meetings. And so that way there is a conversation with not just me. I can't learn it all. There's absolutely no way for me to understand everything that these ladies do, and gentlemen at the district office, there is no way I can even come close to understand what every teacher does, except for being raised by one, and what every classified person does. So I would love to say that it's an easy choice. So my question is not coming to me now that I've rambled on for too long, so I'm going to hand over. Time.
I had my 3 minutes. No, I had my 3 minutes.
I love both you candidates. I think you're both great, but, I, believe, I regret to bring up an unpleasant matter this evening, but as a District 2 board member and Christian, I think I need to follow my heart and my conscience. It concerns me greatly to report that a fair evaluation of the candidates for District 5 school board seat might be compromised. During our most recent meeting, not tonight, but our previous one, things were said about one candidate and not just what they run for, but really running them down and praising the other candidate, which I think could totally upset the outcome of tonight. I think as honest board members and community members, I think that what happened was unethical and potentially unlawful. I did write an email to the other board members explaining my concerns, and I didn't hear back from either one of them, except I did hear back from Jody. In light of these concerns, I believe it's crucial that both candidates be given a fair and impartial opportunity to serve our community. Therefore, I propose that we postpone our voting this evening to address these issues more thoroughly.
Cindy, good job.
Okay.
Transparency. Yep, honesty.
Well, I have more of a question. So again,
Trying to understand the process. So with a concern that has been risen, and should there not be a vote tonight, what is the next steps?
We could repost it, we could
sorry.
repost again, or the board can choose to re-advertise again. There is a timeline, and I'd have to get back to you exactly what that is. The board has to make a decision, but I'm sure you could operate within that. So it is up to the board to direct us whether we want to repost or re-advertise.
And that is different.
So we repost on the board agenda, so we vote at a different time.
So instead of reopening, it's
Right.
we
could just put it on a future agenda.
okay.
What is the issue?
Did you have a recommendation in that sense to where it's just reposted? It's with the statement that you made. Did you have a recommendation associated with that, Cindy?
I don't know, because, once a bell is rung, it's hard to unring, and, it will affect this whole board, and this is a very important decision for District 5. And I know it is the process that we took with these two candidates are totally different than the process that was taken when I was appointed, when Dave Keller stepped down. Both Tommy and I were both interviewed by the Sun and given our we were were both interviewed by the newspaper, The Sun, and the community members knew fully well where we stood, both educational-wise, how, basically kind of what these questions were. We were also interviewed by the Teachers Association and the union separately, and then they endorsed one of us. I think we may be beyond that. I don't know. I wish I could have both of you up here. I wish, but.
So I know you can't answer questions, but a very bold statement was just made, and both of these gentlemen just stood in front of you answering questions for this position. I want to know what this crucial situation is where we have to postpone and re-advertise and have the public reapply. What does that solve by posting the job application or the seat application again? What does that solve out of what you just stated? So
Sure.
Mr. Frost just stated that what we are going to do is refly this board at the seat, correct? Right?
Or.
Oh, postpone the vote, and then we'll have to fly it again. Okay. To another meeting. Okay, so let's talk about what these gentlemen just stated was transparency. What are we talking about?
Yeah, if it's something about me, you're more than welcome to say.
What are
If
we
it's something
talking
Matt, I'm sure he feels the same way.
These gentlemen both stood up and just spoke and advocated for transparency. And we obviously know it was something, that affected Mr. De La Montaña or Mr. Barnett, who both have the same goals. So let's put it on the table now, and let's talk about why we're postponing this situation.
Can I go my
Yeah.
I'm ready to make my choice, and I think what Cindy's concerned about is we might have different decisions, and
But if
the
she's
comment
not,
that I
if
made.
she clearly made the statement that she does not feel comfortable because there is something that was said that is making this not appropriate to make the decision right now.
Right.
So
So-
let's not just make the decision, let's hear why.
So I would like to make a decision tonight, Julie, and sorry, Julie,
The board could also call for an election.
which costs the district several
Yes,
thousand dollars,
it costs the
right?
district
I'm not
quite a
gonna
bit.
do that.
No,
I'm not
I
gonna do
agree.
that.
I'm just asking, Cindy stated something that I think everybody felt here, very
Yeah,
heartfelt.
I think what Cindy's talking about, and I'll own this, and if I'm wrong, then you can speak to that. I made a comment in a closed session on what candidate was my choice and why. And I'm happy to say that in front of this room, and Keith, to you, who we've never had really any interaction until tonight, that I thank you, and I appreciate the permission to speak freely. I have some concerns about how you presented yourself on social media and publicly. Tonight, what you said, I felt really comfortable with, and those concerns are resolved, and I look forward to the opportunity to working with you, if that's who the board chooses. I think Cindy's concerned that me making it really clear that Matt was my first choice would influence Chelsea in a way that was unfair. And I apologize for that. Right now, I would be glad to work for either of you, and I'm willing to abstain from any decision, if that's the case. I actually asked him, in thinking that Jolene would be here tonight, if we were 50-50 split, how does it get decided? We just have you paper, rock, scissors now, or what goes on? Because that could have actually been the case, I don't know, or it could have been 3-1, or it could have been unanimous, I'm not sure. I didn't have that crystal ball, but I wanted to be prepared for that so that we wouldn't be stuck in this position. But I would be honored to work with either of you, and I definitely appreciate tonight's interviews, and I appreciate how forthcoming you were and your willingness to work together. I think that I don't think we can go wrong. So.
I agree.
And the reality of it is that every board seat is up for re-election in 2026.
That's right.
And so I think that that process will take place, and there will be opportunities for others to run and do this really needed work. And I'll look forward to that opportunity to hopefully be seated here again. And if not, I know that there's lots of people that want to do what's best for kids and want people to see what's best for this community, so.
Well, then we're done.
I personally feel that, the cards will be stacked against one of the opponents because, of things that were said, which shouldn't have been said. Things shouldn't have been said. It's up to you. You are who we work for. If, you know, I don't know if another election would even, another vote, if we put off another vote, we're gonna still remember everything that was said by each candidate or, you know. So I don't know how that would work, but I just think it's my duty to be transparent to everyone and to give everyone a fighting chance to be on the board and protect our community and our schools and our students. And I don't know if it was, I don't think that was accomplished.
Do you mind if I say one thing there?
Yeah, please, go ahead, Keith.
Talking about being transparent, everybody be open to each other, tell each other what's up, you know?
What?
Okay, when I first heard that Matthew was the one that, I've known Matthew, he's worked with me a little bit, we communicated, stuff like that. I had one question, and the only question was, is if he could be boisterous with his position. As I walked up to this door today, as we both walked in here, we both looked at each other, and he said, we're here for the same thing. And I told him exactly what I just told you guys that he said to me, and that was the only thing that was a question in my mind, is because he holds such a political position, if he could be boisterous against certain things. And he said he talked to his commissioner and everything was approved, and I'll be honest with you guys, if you guys pick Matthew, he's a great person. I'm not gonna be upset with you guys. Nobody's gonna be upset with you guys. We both want the same thing. We want the kids, we want the educators, and we want everybody in the district to be represented. That's it. We want to earn trust back with everybody at the board. And with that being said, I mean, if you pick him, you pick me, either one of us are still gonna shake each other's hands and walk out the door. We don't care. We just wanna make sure that the right person helps you guys represent what you guys need to represent.
Thank you.
I'd like to make a comment, please. I just want to, so first off, Ms. Krim, I thank you very much for your transparency and speaking up about something that you didn't feel right with. Ms. Reed, I thank you for your honesty and for coming clean on what happened. I'd just like to advocate, please, 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 can we just follow the rules? There are so many things that seem like they get complicated and convoluted, and then we get in these situations where things are uncomfortable, and we might have to postpone, and it wastes everybody's time, and it wastes everybody's money. Can we please just follow the rules? And if we're unaware of what the rules are, can we please raise our hand and say, I'd like someone to teach me the rules? Thank you.
Thanks, Jim. Matt?
I have one thing. I appreciate everybody's time, honesty, transparency. I can tell you, I'm gonna run again if you guys postpone it. So you're stuck with me? I think I can speak with Keith. You're gonna get us both back. We'll be a little bit more polished this time because now we actually know what we're doing. But that's the reality of it. So thank you.
Okay, and I did feel I was asking because Cindy was bringing up a concern, and we are trying to, or I feel the best policy is to try and follow the policies, whether we know them or not, so that's why I do appreciate. And so I was trying to ask to what the opportunity was, should we need to. I came with no pre-decisions, because like I said, paper doesn't tell a story. So I wanted to see how things came out on face-to-face, and unfortunately it came pretty even. So, but I am in a position to vote if we are wanting to vote.
I think we should.
So I will start. Mr. Barnett is who I have chosen.
Did I even say that right, Barnett? Thank you.
Okay, I have chosen Matt.
I chose Mr. Barnett.
Thank you very much. You will be on Wednesday night, sworn in.
Is that right?
Yeah. Is that already on the agenda?
Yeah.
Last time they just put me right in, right?
It's on the agenda for Wednesday.
Oh,
Sorry.
Yep.
We have an answer over here, sorry.
about that. I agree, Joe.
It's on the agenda?
She has the information if you guys want to do it right now.
It's printed on the agenda for Wednesday, and in an effort of following the rules, our agendas, we're gonna do it on Wednesday.
That's what I want to make sure of. Thank you.
All right, is there any future agenda items? Chelsea, Cindy, any future agenda items?
No,
All right,
not that I.
I am going to adjourn the PCOE PUSD Special Governing Board meeting.
I look forward to seeing you in Chester.
Give her one of your books and take them to her.
No, I'm not taking your Quincy ball at all.